You know, I always find it amusing that there's one ship that looks absolutely beautiful. And there's one ship that just looks absolutely abysmal. And they could be in the same room. Built by the same company. Yes, hello guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome back to the IAE 2952 for MISC Day. MISC, or Musashi Industrial Starflight and Concern. Or, no, Starflight... fuck me. Musashi Industrial and Starflight Concern. Fucking hell, I can't read for shit. Today, I've not been able to say much for some reason, so if I fuck up, I fuck up. So today, of course, we're looking at MISC, which is only going to be the words we're going to be utilizing to describe this company, because fuck the people who came up with the name. But yes, so MISC. What is MISC? Well, MISC is basically that name, and more importantly, it is a company that is producing a number of ships, both in mixture, mostly a civilian market, but has utilized some vessels for combat purposes, such as that addition over there, alongside some of their more militarized vessels. However, the more commonly known throughout the star systems of the UEE is, of course, the fact that MISC are responsible for the series, the Hull series, the Hull A here being a prime example of such ships. In Star Citizen game terms, though, of course, the ships that MISC is probably more famous for is the Freelancer series, or the Prospector, as it was one of the first mining vessels inside Star Citizen to be able to be utilized. So today we're going to do the usual routine, go through the main center of the thing, but then we're going to push to the right to talk about the Reliant series, pushing to the left to talk about, of course, the Freelancer, before coming back downstairs to say hello to all the new toys alongside their Razor series, which it's kind of okay. It's kind of, yeah, you know, it's kind of there. I don't know, but still, without further ado, let's get started. And for today, let us get started by looking at the smallest, well, not the smallest ship, but the smallest ship in this room, and more importantly, most adorable. This is the Hull A, obviously the beginning of the Hull series, and this ship is kind of both unique and common at the same time. Admittedly, the unique and common is probably more to do with lore than in current gameplay, but I would say it's still just as relevant to talk about it, just because it might be also, hopefully, will be the thing that will dominate factors, and maybe a big argument in future Star Citizen content creators may talk about. At least I'd like to think so, because, you know, that would mean there would be more trade. So, what am I talking about? Why am I so obsessed about this new potential thing? Well, this ship is a cargo vessel, but it doesn't have its own internal cargo bay, like, for example, the Hercules, the Freelancer Max, the Merchantman, all of that jazz. It doesn't have that. What it does is it utilizes these scaffold things here and extends them out alongside, well, basically the ship extends itself and, you know, shows out the scaffolding. And then it basically hooks the cargo in via gravlocks, and it transports the cargo that way, leaving a lot of cargo exposed to the elements, true, but also it allows it to take far more cargo than previous ships, more than internal cargo ships, which does give it a pretty significant advantage, like quite a bit. If you look at the level in which, if you think about the amount of, like, how difficult certain things are when it comes to the ship, it's quite a unique advantage having a shitload of space and having a shitload of cargo that, while admittedly is at risk because pirates can pretty much just come fly next to you and be like, scoop, it does at least have the benefit of, well, being fairly cheap to run, because in the game it is considered the most commonplace vessel. Oh, hello. It's considered the most commonplace vessel in the verse. Like, the Hull C is considered the most common ship in the verse. And as such, the Hull series should, in theory, be very, very, often seen, both being flown by AI and maybe even players. And I do hope that there is some kind of debate, because it is kind of an interest. I do find that subject rather fascinating, like what would be considered more, viable in terms of gameplay. Do you go for the riskier jaunt but more cargo with the hull series, or do you, take less cargo but you're going to be able to defend it should you come under attack, or be more easily able to defend it should you come under attack is probably the more appropriate term. So, yeah, she looks pretty, and she's also quite a new ship. She only came out at 3.17.0. So she is quite the new ship. Not the newest of the new, obviously, considering we've got some ships coming out at this particular event, but she has still got a lot of new cars. She's still got the new car smell. So without further ado, I'm going to actually hop into this vessel, because someone very kindly left this open. Because I've actually not been into one of these vessels, so let's have a look. So, okay, so there's the EVA suit. So you can tell she's a new ship because of the all amount of interactable buttons that you can see. So there's the cockpit. Let's have a look, shall we? And, oh, hello, that does look nice. The chair always looks comfortable in a MISC ship. Never going to complain about the quality of the chairs. But this, by the golden throne, they actually did it. They actually made a cockpit, MISC made a cockpit that you didn't need binoculars to see out of. They finally did it. It seems such a petty thing to say, but trust me when I say, it's irritating as fuck when you fly the MISC Starfarer. It's not the Starfarer. Well, to be fair, the Starfarer is shit to fly, but the Freelancer. When we get to the Freelancer, I'll explain. Because holy shit, this actually isn't bad. It's not perfect. There's still a giant fucking thing at the front, but it's nowhere near as obnoxious as the Freelancer series. It's on par with, I'd say, the Hercules, if not slightly better than the Hercules. So yeah, holy shit, I'm impressed. And it kind of, no, it fails the MFD test. The MFD test does get failed, because you can't see all of them, and they're big screens, so it's kind of like, But you do get good visuals along the line, which is pretty cool. And this vessel isn't really designed to do anything except go forwards in any respect. So having a 180-degree view, while it's nice, it's not essential, put it that way. So obviously we've got the component access options here, and as you can see, have all the different Arctic storms and all that jazz, which is cool. And we've got the EVA suit thing, so I assume this is a habitation area. And I would be right. So we've got weapon rack here, some magazines and stuff. We've got the usual storage thingy, which, again, it's a new ship because you have options. You also have the escape pod, which is also a bed thing. What are these? Alarm? You can set the alarm for your bed. Oh, the lighting. I like that. That's really cool. So then I can obviously go to auxiliary, which is doable? I don't know. Can I do that? I would like to be able to set the I don't want the alarm button off. I want the alarm button. Oh, lights off. Okay. And the lights are completely off. Right. Lights on. Lights on. Lights off. There we go. So it looks all normal, which is pretty cool. A nice little kitchen unit. Desk for what I assume would be a chair. Yeah, manual release. So obviously we have to assume we can't. There's a fridge. Oh, with an interactable door. That's adorable. Fridge. So that's pretty cool. And of course we have the shit shower, which is of course standard in anything. And is the bog roll correctly placed? Yes, good. I would quit Star Citizen if they had the bog roll the wrong way around, because you don't do that the other way around. It's not even a question. You don't put it the other way around. Just saying. But no, that's really cool. I like it. It's really nice. It's nice and homely, but still somewhat spacious, which is kind of surprising, to say the least. Right, I'm going to assume this opens this door. Yes, it does. Fantastic. Right, let's open the ladder. I want to jump out. I always prefer to jump out than ladder out, because you still have control as to how you get out. There we go. So yeah, there you go. This is the Freelancer. So the the MISC A. So the MISC A carries up to 64 SCUs worth of cargo, and she only costs 90 quid on the standard pledge, which, I mean, the thing is, while I think that's good, and that obviously puts her in a strong position, considering that there is you have to go at least 20 quid to reach the Freelancer series, I can't help but feel that doesn't really help her case, because obviously 20 quid is not a big jump once you've spent 90, and the freelancer, the bog standard one, can take up to 66 SCUs worth of cargo. She also has a turret. She also has multiple guns. She also has, despite my disagreement, she actually has, it's integral cargo. So again, there's some element of protection. So I don't know. If the ship was like 80 quid, then that would mean it would be a 30 quid difference between her rather than a 20, because the freelancer is only like 111 quid to get in comparison to the counterpart. So I don't know. I kind of feel that the Hull series, if they either gave it a bit more SCUs worth of cargo or made it slightly cheaper, I think it would be vastly more awesome. Though then again, you may be able to find that the vessel is fairly cheap to get in any sense. But still, pretty cool. So, on to the uglies. Now, the reason why I say this is because, well, they are ugly. And the second is, of course, this ship, though despite being horrendously ugly, is actually quite a practicable ship. And recently, this year, actually finally got the ability to be used, which sounds a bit sad, because this ship has been around for quite some time. I am, of course, talking about the Starfarer and the Starfarer Gemini. So the Starfarer is basically, well, it's a fuel processing ship. It is a tanker in all essences. It's literally that. Oh, music died for a second. It is quite essentially it is a very huge ship. It's a huge ship. It was the first large ship, I believe, that CIG created. Like, it was the first sort of, right, okay, we've been fucking around with some things like the Cutlass Black and the Freelancer and all of those wonderful things. Now it's our turn now it's our time to really shake these things out. So now we're going to go try and make a biggie. And while they were successful in making the biggie, they didn't really do such a great job. The internal side of things, I mean, we'll just walk into it. I won't do the full tour here because it is just that much of a big ship, and I do have some more. There are more interesting ships to walk around. The internals of this ship are all a mess. You've got multiple pathways which don't really lead anywhere. That you'd think would lead somewhere with the light and everything, but in actual fact that just takes you out a docking pod which goes to the below. So there's absolutely no reason. This whole internals design is just abysmal, and the community ripped the shit out of CIG, and I say they ripped the shit. It wasn't as successful as they'd hoped, but obviously after a number of years of not having a huge level of success, CIG then released 3.17, which then allowed this ship to finally have the ability to be useful with its fuel probe. So now you can actually take fuel and obviously refuel other ships in the verse without them having to go to a station, which is really good. I like this. This is like the fuel rats of Elite Dangerous, I think. I never played Elite Dangerous, but I've heard good things about the fuel rats, so that's a pretty cool thing. With fuel prices obviously being affected by Quantra and everything else, it meant that some people weren't in a position, or if they were new to the game, they may have used too much of their Quantanium fuel, too much of their hydrogen fuel, and they basically would need a lot of help in order to get themselves, out of a fix, and this ship would do so. And it also, as per usual, it being MISC, it having both a civilian edition and a military edition. Though, to be fair, the only thing about the military edition that is unique, which eventually will be able to be modular because you can put this on the civilian edition if you want, there's the slot, is it has missiles. And it has 9 Arrestor 3s, which is pretty much the only thing about the Starfarer MISC, which, yeah, it's not that impressive, I'll be honest with you. But still, it's a big ship. It's got its own it's got its own bridge. It's got its own thing. There obviously are multiple, turrets and everything else like that. But again, not that useful, in the grand scheme of things. But still, it's something. So now we go from rather ugly vessels to one of the prettiest in the entire fleet. This is the Prospector. The Prospector is a dedicated mining vessel. It was also the first mining vessel in Star Citizen, and is currently the only ship vessel that's easily within reach in terms of mining access. You do have the Mole from Argo Industries, which is beautiful. or Argo, Argo, but that's expensive. It's like 315 quid in comparison to this ship, which is, I believe, only 150. So, yeah, quite cheap, quite cheaper. And also, it looks and feels amazing to fly and do stuff. We are going to hop into this thing because, holy shit, this thing is amazing. So, it utilizes 2 VTOL engines, which, of course, we can't. It's 2 VTOL engines alongside its main engine, which makes mining in Atmo so much easier. It utilizes 32 SCUs worth of cargo with these bags here, 12 SCUs a pop if I'm not mistaken. And eventually, when this vessels like the Expanse come out, we will be able to detach these, and theoretically speaking, we should be able to detach these in 318. And basically, we can drop those off, immediately get some new ones, and go to the refineries, which is pretty nice. So yes, we're going to hop into this vessel. It's, as I said, it's an oldie because it's not got the flashy button designs and all the usual suspects that you would see in, say, the Hull series or any new vessels. But you do get what you don't need any of that fancy shit in this. There's a bed. There's some component access. It does have, well, sort of has component access. It's not quite there yet, but still. But it has the bed. It's got the utilities. We've got the shit shower, which is important. And here is the view. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And this is, in my opinion, the best cockpit in the game. Without a doubt. The best cockpit, in my opinion, in the game. Because you get 180-degree complete open vision, and you get this beautiful view down below your feet. It unfortunately fails the MFD test on the top areas here. You can see here on these 2 particular points, 2 MFDs at the top. So unless you have a track IR, you will, be kind of struggling. But as said, despite that particular MFD fail, which it is a fail, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I say it's the best, and yet I'm saying there's a bit that it fails on, but still, it is, with everything else, it is glorious. It is a fantastic view, and when you're flying over planets and you're seeing them, the sector go by, or if you're mining a ship, it is fantastic. I love it. This ship is one of those ships that I absolutely love. I love a lot of ships in this game, but this one is just, this is my, if I had a top 5 or whatever, this would be top 3. Hell, it would be in the top 2. That's how much I love this ship. And it is wondrous, an absolute dream to fly. And very simple as well. Again, it is a very, very easy to get into mining with this ship. It comes out with a stock mining laser. The only downside, of course, is that in order to start really making some profit, you'd have to upgrade the mining laser. But apart from that, it's fairly cheap to run. You can get the mining laser if you get like the Helix, which is only 100,000, which, yeah, I know it's a lot of money, but still, 100,000 Alpha UEC, you get a decent profit on a couple of runs, and then you're in the green. You buy the laser, you buy the module components, you're set. You're set. There's nothing you have to worry about. You just, boom, problem solved. And again, it has that really beautiful lines and everything. Its VTOL capabilities as well make it virtually, glorious. Of course, the only thing I will say is that it absolutely does not stand a fucking prayer and hope of defending itself. It fucking no. Just no. Like, you're not really there to kill people with things. I mean, you can use the mining laser to defend yourself, but it only has so much of a range. Just no. Trust me, I will laugh my ass off if somehow... I mean, to be fair, I'm sure someone's gotten a kill with a Prospector, but I would not be the person who would get that kind of kill with the Prospector. But yeah, no, if you ever decide mining is the thing you want to try in Star Citizen, and you don't want to do ground-based mining, go for the Prospector. It's not, like, the thing is, as much as there's the only it's the only choice in the game, apart from the Argo Mole, it's probably the best choice you can make as well. And in the future, there's going to be, the next mining ship that's within easier reach, or an easier reach as that, is going to have to work fucking triple time to be able to be considered more valuable than that thing, because holy shit. Would be ridiculous. So, as we enter into the first room, we are greeted by a sight of strange-looking ships. These are the Reliant ships. Now, what is the Reliant? Well, MISC, alongside Consolidated Outland, is one of those companies that somehow got to strike a deal with the Xi'an, and some of the Xi'an technology has been utilized both in the Reliant series as well as a few of the other vessels, but this is the most noticeable of those particular things. And today we're going to start the tour by looking at the basic edition of the Reliant series, the Reliant Core. If the game would ever like me to... There we go. The Reliant Core. So the design of these particular ships is that basically when they're landed, they're well, flat like such, but then when you take off, you actually... And it doesn't really help that particular fucking thing doesn't help. When you take off and fly, you actually... These particular wings, or the wing, rotates 90 degrees, and what you've got yourself is effectively a B-wing in Star Citizen. Now, the Reliant Core is the basic bitch edition. It's got a few more weapons, it's got a 6 SCU's worth of cargo capacity, and it doesn't really have anything else. It's kind of the starter ship. It doesn't have a bed, it doesn't really do anything, it is kind of bleh. Which isn't super good. The pilot seat is pretty cool. It does have possibly the best view, and it kind of has the same issue. To be fair, it does pass the MFD test. Oh, no, it doesn't. No, I forgot that it had these things. So no, the MISC, it does unfortunately fail the MFD test once again, a bit like the Prospector. But when you take off and fly, you actually have the, as I said, you can have a look, and then when you're flying around, you actually get the very lovely view down below you, which, to be fair, not many ships can say that they get a nice view when you're looking down when it comes to landing. So if you're a new-ish player, this is actually quite a good ship to learn how to fly in, kind of. The only big factor that I would say kind of is a detractor of that is the fact that you are flying a very much alien ship with a very much strange alien concept of, like, having your entire wing go 90 degrees into the air. And, hello. We've got someone who's very enthusiastic about their thing. Maybe you're going to be a new pilot in the future. It's like, I am destined to be... Oh my god, it's Superman. Don't tell anyone he's Clark Kent. But anyway, moving on to the other variants. There's basically your average mix of different sort of things. You've got the more... I think this one, yeah, the Reliant San is a reconnaissance vessel, so it's got some more scientific sort of things. If we go into the back... You'll see there's like a bunch of communications panels, experimenting things. There's like a couple of beds. So there's not really a huge reason for this vessel. It's more like a what-if concept. But still, the Reliant Sen is basically more of a scientific scanning thing. Then you have the Reliant Tanner, which is more of a sort of long-range reconnaissance / military vessel. You've got the Shitter Shower. So this one's more of a dedicated fighter variant, which obviously, as I said, has more weapons. I think this one has a couple of... This has the M1As. Yeah, it's got like the M1A small edition plus the biggie as well. So, you know, it's the do not fuck with me edition. And finally, we have the Reliant Mako, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the cargo hauling version, which has a... not the cargo hauling version, television version. Sorry, not the cargo. The cargo. We just saw the cargo hauling version. No, they have the television edition, where basically, if you want to relay certain things, you can do so. I say the television. It's primarily because I saw this was the ship that they used in one of the Jax McCreary episodes back in 2020. I want to say, yeah, in 2020. In 2020, they used this ship for the MISC Day, which was rather cool. So there you go, the Reliant series, a strange yet rather unique vessel that, well, while obviously it is can be considered a starter ship, being quite reasonably priced, the Reliant Core at least, being quite reasonably priced at £66, it is, as you could say, it's a bit, it's a very unique vessel that if you've never played Star Citizen, you would be buggered if you were trying to sort of fly around with that thing expecting to know what the fuck's going on. But as starter ships go, it's not a bad idea. And again, it's a cheaper ship, though arguably about £4 more and you've got the Avenger Titan. So and that has more storage capacity, that has a bed, that has better distribution of its equipment, better distribution of its weapons, it has all the others. It's got more options, and it's a lot easier to learn to fly than the Reliant series. But I don't want to take anything away from the Reliant series, because it is still a very interesting vessel, and I do hope we get to see a few more of them in the verse, because they're not that common. So as we enter the last room before we begin our journey to the holodeck, we are greeted by the sight of the Freelancers. Quite a famous set of ships, and depending on your mindset, either incredibly beautiful or absolutely horrifically ugly. I am in the camp of neither. Like, I don't find this ship to be especially repulsive, but I don't find this ship to be all that impressive either, or at least all that beautiful in that respect. And there's a couple of personal reasons as to why I have a problem with this ship. And I also am of the opinion that this vessel is in dire need of a redesign. And hopefully some of you may agree and some of you may not. But if you don't, feel free to query this in the comment section down below. So, let's have a look, for example, at this thing, the Freelancer, just the bog standard edition. This is basic, it's kind of, I would say, your first major upgrade, and it kind of was my first major upgrade. I'd looked around and I saw that, there was a bunch of ships available, and there was a few things you could do, and I kind of saw the Freelancer as maybe a ship I could sort of, fly with a bit more precision. It was a bigger ship, it had bigger guns. At the time, it didn't have the M1As, or the M6As. It instead utilized, the M5As, not the M6As. It had tarantula turrets instead, because that was when the ammunition was a lot more viable. So it had a little bit more firepower, which was quite nice. Also, you've got some missiles here, which these ones are the Arrester 3s. So you've got a couple of Arrester 3s and about four Arrester 3s and 4 Ignite 2s. So, not bad, not bad. And as I said, you've got a cargo bay and everything, which was pretty nice. Again, it gives you more freedom to do cargo missions, potentially, hauling, all that jazz. But there was a couple of things that I would say that this ship has bugged me ever since I flew this thing for the first time, and I'm staring at one of the problems right now. It's that fucking thing. So this is the turret that is available on the Freelancer, and you access it via this little very long strut thingy here, and it's a fairly old turret design. It doesn't, it's in dire need of an update, because it utilizes struts, which have not been seen on ships in quite some time. The other problem you have with this ship is that despite having the turret out, those two struts practically stop any ground vehicle from making its way into the ship. The rovers, obviously the Ursa rover, though to be fair, I don't think the Ursa rover could... At a push, but no, I don't think you would want to put the Ursa rover in. But no, the ROC, the TR, the Cyclone, fucking getting the bloody Dragonfly is a pain in the ass, because that if you drive in too quickly, you clip the fucking thing. Like, there's so many freaking things that vehicles clip into, which prevent you from transporting vehicles inside the back of this thing because of this short-sighted turret design. And of course the turret design is meant to try and cover, the rear of the ship, but it only covers the upper area of the ship, 180 degree, more or less 360 degree terrain traverse all around on the upper side, but not for the lower side. Which again, which my question is this: could you not move this turret and take the stupid lid thing that is on the side, because I have no idea how that works. There we go. And put it here where the airlock is. Now, the airlock, which, docking clamp, whatever, surely could be put in this fucking zone here. Yes, there's the cargo bay and everything, but this area where it's supposed to be at is actually not where the cargo's meant to be. The grav locks for the cargo are here. So the cargo technically stops here, which means you're only slightly in amongst the cargo. So you nudge this thing up a tad, where there's a tiny bit more room. Oh, would you look at that? You could put the docking point in here still. Or you don't even need to have a docking clamp. Or you put the docking clamp on the side of the fucking ship, like every other vessel since God in Memoria. So here, instead of there, and you then have the ability to put a fucking turret on the back here, which then gives this entire cargo bay to be separate and defensible leaving the ship to be a little bit more useful. Yes, there's cargo here, so you move the fucking cargo. Or again, put the turret here, put the cargo in there. Bob's your uncle sorted. So stupid. Anyway, slight rant over. So going into here, you have another little cargo-esque deck, resulting in you getting 66 SCUs worth of cargo. You then have the, admittedly, first interactable doors to a whole host of internal compartments. There's the shitter, there's the non-shitters. You've got some... You have room for all four crew members, which for some reason, I don't know why you would have 4 crew members when really all you need is 1. And then you're introduced to a very fancy pants display. Going into the pilot seat, we are presented with another problem in the Freelancer series, which is you need a pair of binoculars to see out the front of this thing. Now, admittedly, the Crusader Hercules has a somewhat similar design problem. But the thing is, it kind of compensates for that by having an actually useful display, whereas a majority of these things are trying to be just fancy by utilizing, holographic MFDs, and again, you can still kind of see out the front of the ship, whereas this one, again, you have to basically get a pair of binoculars and pray to the Golden Throne you've got a good line of sight, because otherwise, yeah, you're fucked. But apart from that, the vessel is a pretty solid, it's pretty solid. Like, the thing is, this thing is in dire need of an update. We've got technology in this ship that hasn't really been changed since 2013, 2014. Or whenever this ship was, I think it was like this ship was amongst the early lot. And I think this vessel, as I said, it is in dire need of redesign. You need to redesign the turret latches so that it either doesn't have the struts anymore, or you have it in another position which is far more useful. Because if you're wanting to get, turret traverse in this thing at the back, you don't need the turret in, you don't need the turret to be there. You can have it at the airlock and that'll still work just as fine, but hey-ho. And the other thing, of course, is having the internal bay making it a lot more viable. Maybe instead of having it at 4 people being inside the Freelancer, you could only need it for 2, which gives you a bit more space, and maybe you could put the docking thing up the top there. Just saying. As said, in terms of army, in terms of weapons, it's a pretty solid piece of kit, having the M5As being, well, quite a nasty weapon to be encountering, especially since you've got 4 of the bastards on the sides. So, still. I miss the days of the tarantulas, but I can't lie. Trying to use them now would be very, very stupid. But apart from that, the vessel is quite a reliable, durable aircraft. It's got, for 10 quid more than the Cutlass Black, it does the job it needs to do. It looks pretty okay. It's alright. Like, again, it's not the prettiest aircraft in the verse, but it will do what you need to do and also provide you with some additional protection, which the Cutlass Black does not have, which is understandable. So then you've got this thing, which, to be fair, attrition repeaters, big thumbs up. Surprised that a vessel of this capacity and its most ludicrous name is the one that has the attritions, but hey-ho, strange times we live in. So this is the Freelancer DUR, or as I will be pronouncing it from now on, duh. The Freelancer duh is a scientific exploration vessel with the determination to with additional cargo and additional fuel pods and the capacity to make its own fuel. We're scooping it up and creating its own fuel, and there you can see again, still has the fucking turret problem. The Freelancer sacrifices some of its cargo capacity for the ability to make its own fuel, and then after this it just has the same old problem as before, so there's no real reason to like this thing. And as mentioned, it is quite a... I mean, it's a nice looking ship. I like the pod things on the side, but again, it's... The only real thing I would say that has this ship on a more impressive level is the fact that these things have 4 attritions. Which, yeah, size 3 attritions. That's pretty good. I mean, to be fair, they almost look like size 2s. It might be size 2s. I'm not too sure. I've always struggled to find the difference between size 3 and size 2s. Yeah. But let's now go to the most practicable of the Freelancer series, and my personal favorite of them all, the Freelancer Max. Now, the Freelancer Max is the cargo carrying capacity version of the Freelancer series. Obviously, the Freelancer Max is a big fucker, which we all know and love. As you can see at the back here, the cargo capacity is, yeah, a little bit bigger. And again, this is the one that you could easily transport vehicles in if you didn't have the fucking turret problem. But apart from, you know, so in comparison to the Freelance bog standard, which has 66 SCUs worth of cargo, this ship has 120 SCUs worth of cargo. Yes, it's the same turret as before. Do you really need to get into it? Yeah, you really do. GG. And as mentioned, you just go into, and again, you go through the sort of the back here, and it's wider, so it has more of an engine thing, so it has a little bit more thrust, but it is heavier. And of course, when cargo becomes a real factor, you'll be impressive to see if you can get this thing off the ground. But it's the same design philosophy and everything. But again, it is in dire need of... I mean, to be fair, all four of these designs need to be redesigned from the inside, because otherwise it's just terrible. And, ooh, that's cool. Almost looks like Invictus with that little stand. And then, of course, we have the military version, because, again, MISC does not just do civilian, it also tries to cater to the military, though I don't think it's going to be a very successful model. This thing is the Freelancer MISC, which, depending on how many missiles you piss out, you might be missing a fair few. This is the, as I said, dedicated missile/military model of the vessel. The unique thing about this version of the ship is that unlike its bog standard frame, this thing has a fuckload of missiles. It has the same weapon mounts and everything else, so, you know, you've got the ability to do Daka quite nicely, but unlike the bog standard Daka, which you can do things rather nicely, you get instead... How many of those arresters things now? Was it like... Yeah, you get like 2, 10, yeah, and 10. 20 Thunderbolt size 10s, 4 size 8 size 3 arresters. The problem is with the Urquell, it doesn't just list them all in one. It just does the whole, every particular weapon rack is on the side. So yeah, this thing has fuckloads of missiles, and it's primarily designed, I assume, as a sort of second-line support ship. It's designed to basically spam the missiles out and pray to the Golden Throne that it hits as many as it does before, you know, committing itself to death. Because after that, all you've got is the M5As, which, again, they're good. They're not great, and you can't upgrade from them. They're not gimbaled, but still. And I've got this one because this is the vessel that I've been given as a loaner ship for my my A1 Spirit, but I can't say I like this particular ship. I mean, I'm not a huge missile boat fan guy, so maybe that's the reason. And again, my complaints about this particular ship have not died down, so it's, even if not, if anything, they've doubled down. So I just feel that this ship has the potential to do so much good, but it's being held back because it's like such an old design that the revitalization of it needs to be there before we can start having serious conversations about whether or not it's going to be viable for proper combat. So, as we hop over towards the display hall for the holodeck, we are of course greeted by a tiny but still very potent ship known as the Razor. So MISC, again, is one of those ships that is trying to dip as many of its toes into the pie as possible. For some reason, toes are not fingers for some reason, which is probably why they haven't done so well. No, MISC have done, you know, put these particular ships into the pie, and these particular racing vessels do look really, really nice. As you can see, they're not really designed for anything except for going exceptionally fast or being exceptionally luxurious personal transports. But still, they do have a place inside the verse when it comes to racing, when it comes to flying about, or if you're a hard flyer, these things I've seen also quite a fair amount of times as well. Whether or not they're viable to fly in hard fly, I don't know, but still, these things look nice. My personal favorite is the Razor X. No step, fuck you, I step on you always. I am a rebel. Now, the reason why I like this is because of the blue tinted cockpit display, and it's a subtle, more lean kind of design. The carbon fiber being utilized in all of these things looks absolutely wondrous, and I love it. It is really nice. And still, I kind of hope to see these more in the future. I've not seen this again. There's not a huge amount of use for them, but with the hard flyers and with racing tracks being set up around Stanton, we may yet see them in the near future in 318 and beyond. So, on to the last of things. And I will say, MISC's future. Now, I've said that they've not done super well in the past when it comes to certain ships, but I think we're going to start seeing some real potential in the future when they do get some of these vessels out. Of course, this one being the Endeavour. Now, the Endeavour, which looks very, very nice. I don't think we've actually seen this ship inside Star Citizen before. No, or maybe I have. I don't know. I feel like I've seen this more in concept, but this thing does look really nice. They're definitely getting good on the modeling side of things. But the Endeavour, okay, so the Endeavour, if you've never heard of this particular vessel before, is designed to be modular, like very modular in nature. These particular things here are module connecting points, which allows a whole host of different things you can do. You can make it into a scientific research, an agricultural center, a hospital. You can make a refinery. You can make it... I mentioned scientific research. Well, I'm going to put scientific research there on double. Like, there are so many different module container pod-like things that you will connect to this ship, and it allows it to basically transfer all of the different... It allows the ship to fly around the verse doing what it needs to do in terms of what kind of, modular points has been attached to it. And it is a really nice looking ship at the same time. It's very elongated, obviously, but it's got its unique charm, which I quite like. And I do hope to see more of these kind of ships in the future, because while it is nice we're talking about multi-ship crews again with multi-purpose things, I also do like these kind of larger scale vessels that have a specific purpose, even if it is just being a benchmark thing for all of these other stuff. Big ships. I want big ships in the future. And as we go along to the next one... Oh... Hello. So this is the Expanse. Now, the Expanse is a very, very cool ship for one specific reason, admittedly, but still. This is basically the first refining ship that will potentially be put into Star Citizen. So basically, in Star Citizen at the moment, it's disappeared. In Star Citizen at the moment, if you do go out mining, you have to go to a refinery inside one of the asteroid fields, and basically go, refine the stuff. Is that a attrition? No, that's just some funky stuff. So basically, the point is, you would go to the refinery, select the amount of stuff you want to refine, and pay a certain charge for the refining services. But this ship cuts out the middleman and allows the player to refine the items of whatever, style of ships you have. And it utilizes the cargo pods that are taken from the prospectors and placed into the Expanse, which then obviously processes them. It can process up to 6 separate modules, or 6 separate items, or really challenge the first one a lot harder than usual, which is pretty cool. So no, I am a big fan of this ship. It looks nice. I am wanting to get one. Probably not now, sadly, because, well, reasons, but I'll discuss that in a future video/episode. But at the moment, this vessel looks really nice. It's still in concept, so I've got some time before it's due to release, but still, very, very nice looking ship, and I do look forward to seeing this in the verse, because that will make things very interesting. It will mean that you're kind of forcing a player to sit around doing nothing, potentially, whilst they're refining it, or they may be able to do something, so you never know. You may give the player who's less good at the game the job of mining versus not, so you never know. You never know. And you are the... Oh, God. The name's escaping me. Not the Expanse. I want to call you the Excelsior? No, Odyssey. Why did I think Excelsior? No, you are the Odyssey, which is effectively the Carrack of MISC. I say Carrack. It's just easier to describe Carrack because there's a lot of people describe it. But this is an exploration vessel / expedition vessel. It is huge, as you can see by the rather large turret and everything around, plus the giant levels of engines and massive cargo bay at the back. It's not a ship unless there's a giant cargo bay. Ooh, there's an internal. Well, not really internal, but, a cheeky look on the side. But no, this ship looks really lovely. I do like this. So as I said, it's a giant expedition ship which obviously goes around the verse, tries to grab as much as it can, because obviously its main intention is to discover as much as possible, and also potentially set up a small base of operations or explore new planets, all of those wondrous things. And these particular, and MISC has yet to release a huge ship. Like, I'm talking like, well, it has released a huge ship in the form of the Starfarer, but I'm talking like actual huge ship, and this thing is apparently going to be bigger than the Starfarer, so I will be very curious to see as to how that will fare. Whether or not it's going to be... And also, it's got some pretty solid competition, because the Corsair is most definitely making its mark. And by the time this ship comes out, it'll be quite some time since the release of the Corsair, which does beg the question, will it be viable enough for players to want to purchase it? We'll have to see. But still, it is a very, 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 very good-looking ship, and I am a huge fan of the more modern design that MISC is going in. So, big thumbs up. Keep it up. Definitely keep it up. And for our last thing, of course, we have got another one of the Hull series. I want to say C, but it could be B. Is it B? It's C. I was right first time. So this is the Hull C, as it says over there, and this is considered the most common vessel in the galaxy. Am I going to be wrong? No, it's the most common ship in the galaxy. So this is what makes this particular ship a rather unique and commonplace vessel. It has to be fair, it does look really nice. But as you can see, the design of the ship is that these metal struts / scaffolding come out. The vessel then utilizes these grav pod style things. I mean, it's the future. We don't know what kind of tech this is. I like to call it grav mesh, grav pod. I'm not entirely sure, but it basically utilizes fancy pants gravitational technology to lock items into place, and thus allows the ship to be able to transport these items to and from. Now, as said, it's a very common ship, so you'll be seeing these pretty much throughout the entirety of the galaxy. However, it is obviously going to be a very risky endeavor for any, pilots to go for these particular things, because obviously there's a giant amount of supplies for this thing, and this thing carries thousands of SCUs worth of cargo. Like, I'm not even joking. Thousands of SCUs worth of cargo is being utilized in order to satiate the gods in this particular respect. So you can imagine how much money you can make if you get 3,000 SCUs worth of cargo or 5,000 SCUs worth of cargo. You're just like, oh dear God. And think of the money, which is what often pirates do when they hit them. But no, so this thing is absolutely gorgeous, and I look forward to seeing more of this kind of ship in the future, because again, I'd like the debate to see who would win, who is going to think that this is going to be the future of cargo hauling versus the internal cargo haulers. You never know. It could be anyone, it could go anywhere. But sadly, that is it for today. MISC Day is... Well, at the time of this recording, it's been almost gone. It's been going for a while now, but timing of work has not been great. But still, we're here, and things are being done. So, thank you very much for watching, guys, and we've only got technically one day left. There is, of course, the best of the show, but I don't tend to cover the best of show, because it pretty much is just a repeat of everything else. So, for us, we have but one day remaining, and that is, of course, RSI Day, the day that everyone's been waiting for, and at the time of this recording currently is going on, with of course the release, well, I say the release, the near release, the concept ship release, if you will, of the Galaxy, which is currently causing a major stir because, modularity in shipping design and everything else along that line is happening, and I think this is going to be the new darling bud. Well, I don't know, it could be the new darling bud, considering how modularity and refining is now becoming a lot more of a practicable subject, so you never know. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more of this stuff, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and if you have any constructive criticism, feel free to put it in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. This is Mr. Jaeger, signing out.